All right, guys, we've come to the most important story of the day, the questions swirling around President Trump's health. So we can go ahead and put these pictures up on the screen. President Trump has not spoken to in front of a camera in, I believe it's 6 days at this point. We've only caught these glimpses of him going to and from his golf courses, okay? I think we can all say in both of these photos, he looks like shit. Okay, can we go back to the first one again? We can see his look on his face is very Brandon-esque. It's the mouth agape. You can see, the skin is sagging. The makeup is not properly applied. There's no hair visible for some reason. People are like zooming in and enhancing this in all kinds of ways. Like, he looks bad here, okay? And this is basically the only glimpse that we've gotten of him. Then they said, okay, well, he's fine. He's going golfing. Okay. Well, the press pool that was with him were kept from being able to see him on the golf course. They were made to wait on the tennis course. So they didn't actually get to see any of him golfing. There are no pictures of him golfing. This is all we've got, okay? Then they posted photos of him, put C2 up on the screen. They posted these photos of him, or he posted them, on his True Social account. Great playing golf with John Gruden, really nice guy and a true character. Wearing, by the way, a very similar outfit to the one he wore when he was allegedly playing golf. This is an old photo. This was taken on August 23rd, and they seem to hold it out like this was a new photo. This was the part, Saagar, where this was the first time I was like, maybe there is something going on here. We can put C3 up on the screen. It's a Newsweek article about some of the theories and speculation here. They mentioned too the week-old photo and how that raised eyebrows amid health speculation. Of course, we already had those bruising on his hands that he's been trying to hide and trying to cover up. We all know about the cankles and the way that they've been, the way they address that and the way he's been trying to hide those cankles as well. So we're already some swirling speculation. Then he disappears. Then we get these photos where he looks like absolute shit. Then he goes to the golf course allegedly, and there are no photos of him playing, and they post this week-old photo and claim that this is like, trying to portray this like a new photo. And Saagar, there were other MAGA influencers like Charlie Kirk and the like, who are close with the White House, who were posting other golf videos that were, again, I think meant to portray that these were recent and, oh, here he is being virile and active and all of this, that also were all old. So it's really weird. And then last night, there was a lot of fever pitch of speculation because they closed all of the roads around Walter Reed Hospital here in DC. And when I checked this morning, they were still closed. I saw one report, I didn't confirm this one. The roads closed, I looked up on Apple Maps and that was true. They allegedly also turned off one of the highway cameras that was nearby Walter Reed, and the Domino's pizza tracker around the White House and the Pentagon and Walter Reed all was spiking, okay? And we got this news that there's nothing on the president's schedule until 2 p.m. when he was making some unspecified announcement. Now, we have since then received word that the announcement is going to be changing the Department of Defense to the Department of War, Mr. Anti-War, embracing the Department of War here, whatever. So that's supposedly what's happening at 2 p.m. But what do you think of all of these happening?
I think a lot of people are having a lot of fun on the internet. So let's go. And by the way, again, I think it's fine to have fun, but let's talk about it. So the 6 days thing, that was a 3. And by the way, I don't care if Trump is sick or not. If he was, I'm sure, of course, they should be transparent about it. He spoke for 3.5 hours on camera. Reagan Reese of the Daily Caller interviewed him for over an hour and a half on Friday. He's always been old and frankly unseemly when not in a suit. By the way, that's the power of the suit. That's why you should always wear one. Also why you shouldn't wear a hat, because it's not exactly flattering to the brow line. But yeah, I mean, just looking at all this stuff, I think he's probably just as sick as he was whenever he had the bruises on his hands and his cankles. So is the White House being fully transparent about his health? Almost certainly not, especially with the hands. I definitely think some weird stuff is going on there. But yeah, I think a lot of people are having too much fun on the internet. Like, for example, I get how the framing of the golf course, like, oh my God, the press didn't see him on the golf course. Guys, I went with Trump to the golf course, unfortunately. I was stuck in a restaurant. I didn't see him once. I was literally in the motorcade it's pretty much basic standard. When the president goes to the golf course on the weekend, they don't allow the press in. 90% of the time, the photos that get released are from the White House. I do agree that the week-old photo stuff and all of that looks, quote, bad, in the context of all of this. And I would be happy to eat my words if it comes out, today or whatever, that he is sick, but I just don't see it. I don't see any of this stuff. For example, okay, let's put the next one up here.
It's weird to have no Labor Day events, though, too.
I don't know if that's
president,
true.
It is weird. For a president who's supposed to be like Mr. Working Class, blah, blah, blah.
Krystal, he spends all of his time golfing. And when he was president the first time, every Thursday, flight to Mar-a-Lago, Sunday night back to Washington. Like,
but here's the thing.
I just think a lot of this is just fever pitched, like brain dead.
Okay, probably, but
yeah.
You have to admit it's weird. Okay, there was all this speculation, like I'm gonna say like Friday, that he was actually dead. There was all this speculation online, like we haven't seen Trump. Trump may be dead. There was like video of somebody rolling something out of the White House. People were like, that was Trump, and he and his staff are super online. So what would the logical thing to do would be he's out on the golf. Look at him taking the swing. Doesn't he look great? And even if you don't allow the press to go along and to see that, you release a current photo that demonstrates that. So you don't have that. The photos that are of him just like shuffling to the, to the transport looks like Brandon on the debate stage. Looks like total old man. Terrible.
Doesn't he always look like that? This is my point.
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. And he doesn't talk to the press, right? He's always talking to the press. This man cannot freaking shut up.
No, see,
and we haven't heard from him in days and days. You have to admit, to go this long without saying shit on a camera is very unusual.
He did an interview on Friday. Look, and I hate that I sound like I'm defending Trump. I really am not. I mean, I think he probably just took Labor Day off like everybody else. But, look, he's going to be on camera in a matter of hours. We'll all see it. Also, I disagree with you. The Department of War is a great name. And we have launched more wars of aggression under the, quote, Department of Defense than we did under the Department of War. So everybody should
Well, I actually think that it's a more
honest. Exactly. But the Department of Defense was a dystopian post-World War II name.
You have to admit that is ironic for Mr. Anti-War to now be like, yes, it's the Department of War.
What are you supposed to call it? The Department of Peace? I mean, the Department of War is we wage war.
No, the point isn't what the name of the thing is. The point is what you're actually doing. And he has been extremely pro-war, as we know.
That's a separate point.
It's not a separate point. It's a core point. Anyway,
that's the point. The name is good. No, I'm going to stand for this. The name is good. All right? It's important that America be honest about what it actually is. The department that wages war. Since the Department of Defense was established, we have done nothing but launch disastrous wars. The Department of War is a callback to a previous and more important era where we understood exactly what it is the Pentagon did.
I don't think that the name is going to change the terrible policy.
Maybe not now. All right, but the post, I'm telling you, this stuff matters a lot more than people think. A lot of that was about dystopia. It was about the establishment of the empire, about foreign wars abroad. When we were the Department of War, we were a much less adventurous country, and we were one that understood the actual ramifications. Congress voted for it more. Do I think this is going to change any of that?
I seriously doubt that the name change has much to do with that.
I think restoring honesty and clarity in what exactly these places do is a lot more important than people think. Symbology does still matter, and the Department of War was an important part of that.
So let me put up this next piece, which is C4. So in addition to all of the things that the photos, the week-old photo being passed off as current, the fact he looks like absolute crap, hasn't spoken to the press. His posts on Truth Social are weird. They don't sound like him at all. In fact, and I think this is true, I've seen people saying this, like Gavin Newsom doing his weird Trump impression sounds more like Trump than these posts. And so one individual ran his Truth Social post through ChatGPT and asked for an analysis of whether or not this sounded like Trump. And the TLDR here is no, they don't sound like him at all. This one says, wow, Mayor Muriel Bowser of D.C. has become very popular because she worked with me and my great people in bringing crime down to virtually nothing in D.C. Her statements and actions were positive instead of others like Pritzker, Westmore, Newscomb, and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, they say that the signature President DJT, our memo letter conventions he almost never uses in posts. He says this thing, just some simple facts for people to ponder. Ponder is not something that he is in his normal register, more likely to say, think, remember, believe me, et cetera. So we don't have to go through all of these. But in any case, I think anyone who reads the post will be like, this doesn't really sound like him. Now, he does have staffers write Truth Social posts.
I've actually literally witnessed it.
But again, why are there no signs of life coming from this man at this point in time when there is a fevered speculation?
He's on camera. He still looks like he's an 80-year-old man. He's morbidly obese. All right, he's probably either pre-diabetic or diabetic. I mean, I think you're probably seeing exactly what is there and has been for years. For some reason, they just convinced themselves this weekend that he was dead. Again, here's the thing. I support having fun on the internet. Hillary's earpiece, back brace, I was there. Her collapse on 9/11, I will never forget it. Some of the most fun that we ever had online. Truly, some of the most fun. So speculate away. Go for it. I'm just here to be a bit of a damper and be like, yeah, guys, unfortunately, it's very common that to have pictures on the golf course. He's going to be on camera later today. By the end of this week, most of the people who indulge us are going to look pretty stupid. In general, you may be vindicated in the way that Brandon posters were. If he eventually does have some sort of Brandon style moment, it's definitely possible. You can't rule it out. I mean, I think he's either 79 or 80. That's just empirically
Yeah, I mean, he's
correct.
old and he's eating McDonald's like every day for his entire life.
No, he no longer eats the bun. Isn't that right? Or
Oh,
it's
really?
like
I didn't hear
something
that.
like he doesn't eat the bun anymore, or something like which I'm not sure I believe that.
All right, one more here for you. One more here for you. Put this up on the screen. This is weird. I don't know what's going on with this.
This is a fun one. This is just straight fun.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
They're throwing things out of the White House residence.
Yes.
For some reason, we don't know why.
At the top floor, we can't.
I don't know that this has anything to do with Trump's health, but it's a weird thing that happened.
It's just,
so we just threw it in here.
It's simply just interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that area of the White House.
And this is like bulletproof glass too. It's like, I don't know if any of this is true, to be clear. But I did see some analysis on Twitter about like, it's not like a regular window you can just open and throw things out. You have to like remove it.
Because I've seen some of those. But that area right beneath that is where
Yeah.
the press gathers. I've actually seen some windows open there before. I know under Obama, somebody fired gunshots at the White House.
Yeah.
And they discovered bullets there like a little bit later on. It was like a huge scandal because it was a security
I remember that.
failure. They weren't there when it happened. They like discovered it later after they found some bullets and they're like, hey, what is this? Like, where did this come from? Anyway, weird. It was definitely weird. I agree. So look, everybody continue to have fun on the internet, but unfortunately there were too many people I take seriously in my life who were asking whether a lot of this was actually real. And of course, that's always why you need some discerning information. Again, at 2 p.m. today, you will have Donald Trump on camera and every single person can look at that.
The fact that we're just like run year after year by these aging,
I agree.
falling apart men who are like decomposing before our eyes is a real sign of empire
100%.
Visual sign.
I totally agree with that. I think it's one of the worst things about the country. No one's more of an anti-boomer than me in terms of their leadership. So I would personally like to see more people. Shout out to Jerry Nadler, who recently said,
right.
I'm not running for office. Biden's degradation showed me that people who stay too long overstay their welcome and cause serious distrust in the system, and it's time for me to go. So you know what? That's the right thing to do. And I think a lot more politicians, Democrat and Republican, should do the honorable thing and should get out forever.
Imagine if Trump dies before Biden.
If Trump dies before Biden, that would be crazy. I mean, I don't know. Wow. I mean, how old is Biden? He's 81?
80.
I mean, doesn't he have cancer? He's got like stage 4 cancer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
He's 82.
Yeah.
One last question. What do you think? Okay, so just indulge. Let's imagine that Trump does die. What do you think happens with MAGA?
Interesting question.
So obviously J.D. Vance would become president in the
He'd be
interim.
like Theodore Roosevelt, comes several months into the office, gets 3-some years in the White House. I think that they would be behind him because he would have to pull a Johnson. So what Johnson did in one of my favorite books, The Passage of Power by Robert Caro, how Johnson took control of the presidency after the assassination of Kennedy. Obviously, it's different because assassination is very different than a natural death in office. But I'm trying to think.
They probably think that he was killed, though.
When's the last time a president naturally died in office? FDR? So, yeah, I think it's FDR. So under FDR, Truman, yeah, okay, similar comparison. I think he died 83 days into his 4th term. But what Truman and LBJ credibly had to do was they had to balance being president and being in charge and inheriting a bunch of other people's staff. What Truman in particular did is he took like over a year to kind of phase in, his own people, and he was still dealing with World War II, but he also had to make a lot of big decisions, but he generally deferred to a lot of FDR advisors.
He was very insecure too.
He was very, he should be, right? He literally didn't know, he didn't even know about the Manhattan Project until FDR died. It's insane. And he used to drop the bomb some month later or 2 months later after he becomes president. it would probably be more akin to LBJ because Kennedy had that whole legacy around him. So what you do is you're like, I will fulfill the legacy of Donald Trump. And then you kind of decide like what that legacy is, right? Because JFK, he spoke for civil rights, he didn't really do anything about it. LBJ actually gets it done. He spoke for a tax bill. It was going nowhere. LBJ actually got it done. You kind of get to decide and build upon that person's legacy. And at the end of the day, you are president, right? So the alternative model would be Theodore Roosevelt, who becomes president after his president dies while he's in office and goes in a totally different direction because from the force of his personality, turns the presidency and his term into something that he never would have imagined, previously while he was the vice president. I don't think that can happen because the same cult around Trump kind of exists around LBJ and FDR. So you would have to step into the fold. And the most important thing to do would be to do what LBJ did, is you would credibly have to win, not re-election, but the election. And then you can kind of step into it and make it of your own. So I don't really know. But I do think, it's not just chosen successor. You are the vice president. You're the president, legally. You're going to inherit the team. I don't think he would fire anybody. I do think a lot of stuff would change, actually, in terms of the policy, in terms of the implementation. I think it would be a lot higher IQ, personally. But I still think a lot of it would have to be wrapped in the shroud of MAGA and of Trump. And I do think MAGA also, the fight that would come would be when he would run for election. So in 2028. That would be, especially depends, on how the presidency goes and all of that. But yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting thought experiment. Like, so you can go the Roosevelt way, the Truman way, or the LBJ way. Those are the different models I have.
Yeah, I just look on a base level. I think Trump gets away with things that no one else would and could, and including JD Vance. Like, I just don't think he has the aura to pull off the things Trump has.
You're underestimating how much people, when someone dies, especially like if you provide a hagiography for that person, there's a lot of difference. Like, they did not attack LBJ for years.
Although I think it's a different era.
It could be. I don't know.
Like in the LBJ era, like we've never been in a time period where people are actively like cheering for the president to be dropping dead, which is what is happening online right now. Like, it is a different moment. You're going to have people, half the, 40% of the country, let's say, is going to be instantly happy that he's gone.
Maybe, and you be careful what you wish.
That is a very different dynamic. So I don't think you get years of hagiography and deference and I don't think you get that.
Well, your question was about MAGA, not about the country.
Yeah,
so that's the
your analysis is predicated on the idea that there would be this deference and there would be this national hagiography of Trump after he goes. And I don't really think that'll be the case. I think the media will try, but I think much of the country will be like,
it's possible. I don't know. I mean, the other way we could look at it is Ford taking over Nixon, which kind of deflates a lot of the energy against him. So that's what I mean.
But we also have to think about, like, it's a very bad time for America. And JD Vance would be dealing with the economy's not doing well.
Yeah, that's why we're
mired in these, in this horrible situation, funding a genocide in Gaza. There's all sorts of structural reasons why he would feel like he can't really change course on that without, his coalition falling apart. Very likely to be drawn back into war with Iran. Still mired in Ukraine. The world united against us. Like, it's a really bad time to be president and be dealing with the fallout of the idiocy that Trump has foisted on this country and on the world too. So, like I said, I think Trump gets away with things because he has so much. He's funny. He just has off the charts charisma. Like, you can't deny it. I hate the man, but that's just facts. JD Vance is not that guy. So I think he would struggle to keep that coalition together. And then, of course, you already have like the Groypers and the people that hate him because his wife is Indian, whatever.
It's possible. Again, I think things would change. I mean, if in a way, like, I think it might be the worst thing that ever happened to the left because it could suck a lot of the enthusiasm out of them. It could become, things could go back to normal, honestly, relatively quickly. So you really have, look, nobody
there's a lot
knows.
of energy around hating JD Vance and the Peter Thiel, Palantir,
that's
Elon Musk tech oligarchs as well.
That is purely online. The average, normie lib hates Trump for being uncouth and, whatever. Like, they don't give a shit. And to the extent that they care about JD, they're like, he's Trump's little errand boy or whatever. I mean, they don't know anything about Palantir. So I think that's
Palantir is emblematic of the oligarchy and, like, the billionaire class.
Well, look,
and there's certainly normie reaction against that.
We'll see. We'll see. Personally, I think that the left, Trump is the best thing for the left right now. I mean, his, his like brashness and all that. A return to normalcy would nuke them because then they would, I think all the energy would completely be sucked out. It also, look, a lot of it depends on JD. A lot of it depends on the circumstances too and the timing. Like early on, right now, you're basically the full-on president for 3 years. That's what happened to Roosevelt. That's what happened to Truman. Whereas it's like LBJ, you're running in the, I think, so November, so he only had a year. So November 23rd up until the election, he only had the last year of the presidency. That's a very different circumstance too. So the point is, it's complicated if you look broadly around. We'll see. I mean, it's a fun thought experiment, I guess. All right, let's get to senators. Hey, if you like that video, hit the like button or leave a comment below. It really helps get the show to more people.
And if you'd like to get the full show, ad-free, and in your inbox every morning, you can sign up at breakingpoints.com.
That's right. Get the full show, help support the future of independent media at breakingpoints.com.